to praise and worship music. I make it a point to focus my morning on God, on, what am I called to do? What's the purpose in this life? And that's to serve God, and that's to serve people and to bring the two together. Help people serve God, right? I was thinking about this morning, just in thinking about my message and listening to my music. It's important just as much as what you're feeding your body physically in the mornings, your food, just as important that as spiritually what you're putting in your body. If I'm listening to Holy, Holy, whatever song, think about that versus listening to Shake It Off, the hater's gonna hate, and the player's gonna play. Think about that. Think about how much different my day's gonna be thinking about or listening to music like that versus if I'm not gonna read, if I'm not gonna study. I like to do mine at night. So I don't just not do it, okay? Well, sometimes in our spiritual life, we skip reading in general. We skip our worship time alone, our talking to God. And why? Maybe it's because we don't have time. We don't make time, just like breakfast. We don't maybe know what to read. We don't maybe know what to say, what to pray. Or we're just not hungry. And the longer you go without eating, just like in the mornings, the less hungry you are. How many of you have ever had hunger pains and then all of a sudden you're like, where did my hunger pains go? I'm not even hungry anymore. It's because you didn't eat. So the longer you go without eating, the longer you go without feeding your body, the easier it's going to be to not be hungry. And I mean that spiritually. The longer you go without feeding your spirit man, he's not going to be hungry anymore. He's not going to say, hey, I'd like to get in the Word a little bit. I'd like to talk to God a little bit. I'd like to turn some music on and worship God. It's going to be easier and easier. It's just like taking steps further and further and further away. It's going to be easier not to hear those thoughts, not to hear that inward man saying, hey, hello, feed me, please. Make sense? All right, so 1 Timothy 4, we're going to look at verse 7. It says, spend your time and energy in training yourself for spiritual fitness. Physical exercise has some value, but spiritual exercise is much more important, for it promises a reward in both this life and the next. Now, the most important asset that you have on this earth is your body. If you're not alive, you're not doing what God's called you to do, or you're not advancing the kingdom. So it's important that this is not a message about go get in the gym and go lift some weights. This is about being healthy, okay? Someone who's got a lot of muscles, it doesn't mean that they're fit. It doesn't mean that they're healthy. Somebody who's skinny, it doesn't mean that they're healthy, okay? But how do we become fit? How do we become physically fit? Diet, exercise, sleeping. There's lots of little things. Well, to become fit, you have to do something consistently. And I know I'm preaching to the choir on a Wednesday night. You're at church on Wednesday night. You're not home watching American Idol. Dad said, who's the boss? Which nobody knows what that show is anymore. American Idol, we're going to go with that one. But you do the same type of exercise continually, over and over. You can't go get on a treadmill one time or for 1 week and then say, oh, I'm fit. You can't go lift some weights for a week and say, oh, I'm fit. Look at me. No, you do it consistently. You see results when you do it consistently. That's whenever you become fit. Same thing spiritually. You can't just come to church every once in a while. You can't just read every once in a while, tithe when you feel like it, give when you got a little extra, pray here and there only when you need something. That's not going to make you spiritually fit. We had a guy come into the gym. This is I don't know, Ben just left. A couple months, I think, after we opened up, about a year ago. And he was a young kid, about 18 years old, I think. And he came in and wanted some personal training. His dream was to be a professional soccer player. So we're like, okay. At the time, we had a trainer working for us. He's not here anymore. And he specialized in athletes and young athletes, high schoolers. So we handed him off to this trainer. And the very first workout he did, this is a true story, y'all, okay? Very first workout he did, dripping sweat. Goes over to the mirror, turns sideways, and pulls his shirt up, and he says, I don't see any change. Oh, my goodness. I think nobody knew what to say. He was serious. He expected after one workout to be different and to look different. Sometimes we expect, all of a sudden we go to God like, God, hey, I need this, or I need that, or help me. And you expect it right then and right there. Sometimes that's not how it works. You have to be consistent. You have to persevere. Why do we need to be spiritually fit? When trials come, when tests come, the spiritually fit are going to get through those a lot better than someone who doesn't know how to fight a battle, who doesn't know how to use their authority, use their words, use, the things that we learn in this church. It's like a fireman. Okay, so they're put through these tests and they're put through these trials, and I guess they do like mock fires and things like that. So when they're done, when they're at their stations, they don't just sit around and wait for that alarm to go off and learn as they go. They don't just go in and say, well, I'll just figure this out as it happens. No, they're trained that way. They work. They work their bodies in fitness and physically, but they also train their minds. I mean, they're running into burning buildings. They're running into smoking buildings. Just so they can wait, and when that alarm goes off, they're prepared. That's what it's all about, is being prepared and being ready to fight that fire, to go pick up some lady on her car that flooded on Marcia Sharp, things like that. They're prepared for things like that. All right, let's go. We're going to bounce around just a few scriptures tonight. Let's go to Isaiah 40:31. A lot of us know this scripture. I love this scripture. I think it was one of my dad's favorites. It says, "But those who wait for the Lord shall change and renew their strength and power. They shall lift their wings and mount up as eagles. They shall run and not be weary." Did you hear that? Run and not be weary. How many of you can run and not get tired? Yeah, no. They shall walk and not faint or become tired. This sounds like a spiritually fit person right here, doesn't it? Run and not get weary. The enemy's real, and when he comes, he's ready to break you in half. He doesn't care. The spiritually fit are going to know what to do. They're going to know how to handle it because they've already been doing it over and over. They've stayed prayed up. They've stayed full. I was telling my mom the other day, I have a lot of very vivid dreams. And I had a dream about 2 weeks ago that I was on an airplane. And I was at the back of the airplane, and I had 3 friends with me. And I have no idea who they were, but they were my friends in my dream. Okay, and this airplane started going down, spiraling down to the ground. And everyone starts freaking out. And you know what I did? I started yelling at that airplane, telling it that it better start working, that everything was going to line up, everything was going to work properly, that we're promised life. So I'm just like, in my dream, like, going off. I can't even tell you everything that I said right now, but it was nonstop. And in my dream, that airplane came like this to the ground and went like this and then just set on the ground. And then I got out of the airplane, and some man came up to me and said, "Well done, you saved your friends. Good job. Nobody else did as good as you did." That was my dream. I have a lot of tornado dreams, too. Me and my mom do. I think it's just how intense we are. But every single tornado dream, y'all, that tornado is not, I'm not in the tornado, okay? I see it coming, and I'm yelling at that thing. In my dreams. I'm like, "No, you go the other way. You're not coming to my house. You turn around." But it's funny because that's what we're taught in this church. And even subconsciously in my dreams, I don't know if that's what I would do in a situation like that. I would hope so. But if in my dreams that's what I'm doing, I think that might be what I would do in real life. And I'm not saying, look at me, I'm this spiritually fit person. No, I mean, nobody ever gets to where they say, "I'm as fit as I can be." Nobody does, ever. Physically or spiritually. There's always room to grow. But I love that even in my dreams, I'm yelling at things the Bible says, you speak to your mountain. You tell it to move. You don't think it to move. You don't ask God to move it. You move it with your mouth. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. It's not just something cool to say or something nifty. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. It is. That's how powerful your words are. All right, so I've got 2 points real quick on how you can become the perfect you, how you can be spiritually fit. Number 1 is the way you think, and number 2 is the things you choose. So number 1, the way you think. We were made to think. We're thinking beings. God gave us a choice. That's why Jesus came. If everybody was just going to go to heaven, I know you've heard this from your pastor, Jesus wouldn't have had to come. But he gives us the choice. It's called free will. 75 to 98% of all mental and physical illness is a result of how somebody is thinking. 75 to 98%. Mental illness and physical illness. Isn't that crazy? I love how God works. I decided pretty quickly that this is what I was going to speak. This was actually what I wanted to speak on the last time I ministered, but it just didn't seem right. But I loved it because a couple days after I decided, I was reading through a magazine, some Christian magazine. I think it was at my parents' house, and I found this article on how thinking affects your body. I was like, ooh, this is so cool. Mom, can I have this? So I ripped it out. And I'm going to tell you some of the different systems in your body and how they respond and how they react to your thought life and what you're thinking. I'm going to go kind of quick. There's a few of them. So you have your nervous system, which your brain connects to the rest of the nervous system in your body. And healthy thoughts actually it actually causes your brain to grow when you think positive thoughts. You have your endocrine system, which it's your hormonal balance, which your positive thoughts affect your hormones and the rest of your body systems. And listen to this, even fertility can be affected through your thought life. I think anything can be affected through your thought life. And that's what we're taught. Any single thing you can really change through your thoughts and through your mouth, honestly. This is not me. This is a doctor, okay? This isn't some rando person who wrote this article, all right? This is a doctor. This is from a doctor. All right, then there's your immune system. Your thoughts affect the defenders of your body, the white blood cells. Healthy thoughts lead to robust white blood cells that fight off infections. You have your intestinal system. Healthy thoughts enable proper food digestion and therefore leads to good health. I don't know how to say this word. I'm just going to guess. Your integumentary system. Yeah? Integumentary. That's your skin, right? Includes your skin. It's the largest organ in your body. Healthy thoughts lead to better skin. There's studies on all of this stuff, okay? Then you have your muscular system. When your thought life is healthy, you're motivated to exercise. And of course, exercises, if you know anything about exercising, it promotes good health because it releases different chemicals in your body. I mean, you're not going to sit around and be sad and be like, I'm going to go work out, and then feel the same way when you're done. When you're done working out, you're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to take on the world, right? How many of you can be sad after you work out? No, you might be tired, you might be sore, but you're not going to be sad. And then last, we have your cardiovascular system, your heart, the most important muscle in your body. Healthy thoughts are involved in proper communication between the heart mini brain and the skull brain, leading to the promotion of well-being by the heart's orchestration of the whole body's electromagnetic rhythm and harmony. Good thoughts enhance the vascular system, thus preventing hypertension. So if you think about that, we pretty much covered every single thing in your body that can be affected by good thoughts. Now, just in the same way, I'm sure all those things can be affected by bad thoughts, right? I know there's a study of the man that had the 2 glasses of water, and he spoke good things to the one water, and then he spoke bad things to the other water. I think it was within a week or 2 weeks, that water, the one he was talking bad things to, started turning brown. And the one he was speaking life to stayed. Kind of crazy, but that's how powerful. That's the power that we have. Think about that. God created us to have that much power inside of us. You know, you have the control over what you're thinking. The devil's not just going to say, zap you with depression. He's not just going to zap you. It all starts with you, right in here. The devil doesn't make you go rob a bank. He doesn't make you cheat on your spouse. It all starts right here. This is where he can target you the most. Because he starts putting it in and you start thinking. You know, he's not a puppeteer just pulling the strings. He's going to plant those little seeds and then you're going to make it bigger and bigger, all with what you think. I have a friend, actually, that I've been talking to that's going through some stuff, and I just keep telling her, you have to redirect your thoughts. You have the power to do that. You don't have to sit there and why me, pity me, oh my gosh, this is happening. Yeah, it's there, and it's not denying that it's there. It's not lying to yourself. It's just saying, yeah, okay, it's there, but I'm going to think about this. This is what's going to happen. All right, so number 2, we have what kind of things are you choosing? This can go physically and this can go spiritually. Would you rather choose some chicken and veggies or McDonald's hamburger? That's very, very, very important. 1 Corinthians 9:27, you don't have to go there, just write it down. It says, this is Paul talking, he says, but I buffet my body and subdue it, for fear that after proclaiming to others the gospel and things pertaining to it, I myself should become unfit. I'm going to read it again from the Amplified. It has a little bit more in there. He says, but like a boxer, I buffet my body, handle it roughly, discipline it by hardships, and subdue it, for fear that after proclaiming to others the gospel and things pertaining to it, I myself should become unfit, not stand the test, be unapproved and rejected as a counterfeit. This word buffet right here, I looked it up, and it means to strike against, to push repeatedly, to contend against a battle. I believe right here Paul's talking about, I don't think he's just talking about the spiritual, I think he's talking about the physical. Because in life, as Christians, you have to be disciplined in your mind, in your mouth, in your emotions, everything. A friend of mine was telling me about this. There's some type of martial arts training that I'm sure they do it in a lot of fighting type trainings. But in this one, I got something on my pants. In this one, they do a lot of kicking, okay? And so what they do is they kick things on their shins so much, and they take these rods or rolls, and they roll them on these guys' shins. Ugh. Why? Because they get to the point where they don't have any feeling in their shins, so that when they kick, they're not wounding themselves, they're not hurting themselves. Obviously, the point is to hurt the other person, right? So when Paul says he buffets his body, buffet to contend against to battle, sometimes you have to discipline your body and you have to go through those hard things, or not eat this, or not do that, or not think on that. So when it comes time to where you got to do some kicking and you got to do some punching, you're ready, and you're not hurting yourself either. You're throwing that kick and being like, that didn't even hurt me. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? So Paul disciplined his body so that he wouldn't fail himself. Spiritually too. He didn't want to go out and preach all these things and then go back and not live it, and not be able to live it, or come under attack and not, I don't want to stand up here and tell you how to fight against things and then me go home and I don't do that. That's what Paul's saying. He never wants to be like that. I get it. But he was running to win. Those scriptures up above, that's where it talks about running the race to win. He was running to win, and he was going to do everything he could to win. Not just run and not quit, but to win. Hebrews 12:11, write this one down. It says, for the time being, no discipline brings joy. How many of you like being disciplined? No. For the time being, no discipline brings joy, but seems grievous and painful. But afterwards, it yields a peaceable fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. Again, nobody likes to be disciplined. Discipline is hard. Disciplining your body is hard. Disciplining yourself to just say, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to read a little bit. I'm going to read my word and not turn the TV on. You know how hard that is? It's so hard not to turn Netflix on. For me. But self-discipline is essential to the Christian life. If we don't, again, like I said earlier, if we don't discipline our minds, our mouths, our emotions, we're going to live in ruin. No discipline brings joy, seems grievous and painful, but afterwards it yields a peaceable fruit of righteousness to those who've been trained by it. You know, becoming fit is physically is like you got to take all your puzzle pieces. You have your diet, and you have your exercise, and you have your sleeping, and you have maybe your age comes into account. You have all these little things, and it's like being handed these puzzle pieces. And you know how sometimes when you try to fit a puzzle piece together that it looks like it might go together, but it doesn't, and it kind of sticks up a little bit, and you keep having to push it down because it's the wrong piece? That's how being physically fit, and even spiritually fit, is if you're not putting all those little pieces together, your picture's going to be a little bit off, and the pieces aren't going to completely fit together. It's like you can eat a bunch of chicken and a bunch of veggies, or you can eat chicken all day long, but you're not going to be fit. You can go get on a treadmill and just run forever. Go run outside. But you have to put everything all together. Your worship, your time with God, your reading, your praying. You can't just worship, turn on praise and worship music, and that's your life. That's not going to work. You can't just pray. I mean, prayer is good, but it's not the only thing. You have to have a balanced diet, just like you do in the physical. My grandmother told me this the other day. She's not a fitness fanatic, but I loved it. She told me that you can't exercise your way out of a bad diet. You can't eat a bunch of Twinkies. You can't eat a bunch of donuts all day long and then try to go work out every day and expect your body to be okay or to be fit or whatever you want it to be. Same thing, you can't just read your word and never do it. You can't just read your word and never talk to God. I could read these pages right here. Then the grass withereth and the flower fadeth because the Spirit of the Lord bloweth upon it. I could read that. But what good is that going to do? Being spiritually fit is a journey. It's not a destination. It's something that you keep working on. You keep growing. You come to church when the doors are open. You know, God just wants us to spend time with Him. I'm going to close with this. We read 1 Timothy 4, 7 and 8 earlier, but I want to read it from the Message Bible. It says, "Stay clear of silly stories that get dressed up as religion. Exercise daily in God. No spiritual flabbiness, please." How many of you want to be flabby? No. Nobody wants to be flabby. No spiritual flabbiness, please. That's my favorite. Those are my favorite words in this whole thing. Spiritual flabbiness. Workouts in the gymnasium are useful, but a disciplined life in God is far more so, making you fit both today and forever. You can count on this. Take it to heart. You know, the point is, like it says right here, making you fit both today and forever. We're not here forever. This body's here. That's why you have to take care of it. You have to feed it properly. You have to exercise. But our spiritual man, he's not going to be here forever. And you know, I want to get to heaven, and I want God to say, "You did good." He's telling my spiritual man this. "Hey, well done." My body didn't go out and serve people. I mean, yeah, physically, my body is my source. That's how I can. But my spiritual man is who made the decision to say, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go run in this 5K because I hate running, but I'm going to go support this cause. I'm just talking about something small. It doesn't have to be spiritual. It doesn't have to be, your spiritual man is going and serving in the children's ministry. It's serving on the worship band. It's serving on a camera. That's what I'm talking about. My last point, write this down. We become healthy physically and spiritually the same way. You have to eliminate what's harmful and cultivate what's helpful. I'm going to say that again. We become healthy physically and spiritually the exact same way. You have to eliminate what's harmful and cultivate what's helpful. Cultivate. You hold on to it. You bring it close. You indulge in it. What's helpful in your life and what's harmful in your life. What's harmful can be your friends. Those bad friends can bring your spiritual man down. Bad food can bring your physical man down. Get rid of the harmful, cultivate what's helpful. So again, what are we thinking on? Where's our thought life going? You can be, I was talking to one of my brothers. You can get out of depression just as fast as you got into it. All because of what you're thinking on. You can decide, like I said earlier, you don't just become depressed one day. I'm depressed. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to lay here all day long. Obviously, your mind started going there. You're sad. Your life doesn't amount to anything. You're not doing anything. I have no purpose. What am I doing? I don't have a good job. I hate my job. It all started right here, which is jacking up the rest of your body. I think Pastor Nancy Dufresne, which I think it was her, when she was here, she told a story about this lady that was in the hospital, and she was dying. And the doctors could not figure out what was wrong with her. There was nothing wrong with her. But you go talk to her, and she thought that she was sick. Because she thought that she was sick, her body was failing. That's how powerful your mind is. And just in the same way, that's how powerful your mind can be in the other direction. You know what? You want to lose some weight? You tell yourself every day, body, you're losing weight. You're burning calories twice as fast as Sister Sally or whoever or whatever. You say it, you think it, and you'll be it. Now, don't think that you're something that you can't be, okay? That's not what I'm saying. Don't look in the mirror and say, you're going to be the president of the United States. No, that's not what I'm talking about, okay? I'm healthy. I'm strong. I'm who God's called me to be. You can't leave that mirror and not feel like you can take on the world and conquer your day. And then second, what are you choosing? The things that you're choosing, are you choosing healthy? Are you choosing non-healthy? Are you choosing to take a little bit of time and just think about God in the mornings? Are you going to choose to maybe just work every day at reading the Bible? A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't do it every day. And it's hard. I get it. I'm busy. But you want to stand in front of God and say, God, I'm busy. Sorry. You got to think about it like that. You're not just not doing it. You're telling God, hey, I'm too busy for you. Sorry. I'll see you when I see you. Right? So what are we thinking on and what are we choosing? Well, that's all I have for you tonight. Y'all, I had 4 pages of notes. I usually only have 2. I felt very spiritual when I was making this message. Because my dad gets up here with his folder. I was looking at Josh last week. Josh had 10 pages of notes, just going through them. I usually have 2. But I hope you got something out of it tonight. My heart is, I want to help people. I think even our pastor, any pastor here, any ministry, I just want to help people. If there's anything I can do, if I can stand up here and say one tiny little sentence that's going to make you think differently about your week or differently about your day, that's my heart. Okay? All right, well, stand up with me. Let's pray, and I'll get you out of here early tonight. Lord, we come to you tonight with thankful hearts. We're just so thankful for who you are in our lives, that you've given us the ability to serve you, to think, to choose the right things, to choose you ultimately, God, that you've given us that ability. And I pray, Lord, that you would help remind us during the week, help remind us during our day what to choose, what not to choose, how to think. Help us redirect our minds to think on good things, good thoughts, thoughts of you, Lord. I just thank you for every person in this room tonight, Lord, that you would just make yourself real to them, even more real to them this week than you ever have before. That we look to you, God. We thank you that you love us, that you have a plan